glazed over after about 3 minutes. It was helpful.
I got a text from you that says bring snacks.
Oh. Okay, we're recording. I will not do that. We'll call the meeting to order, and let's do the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Please join me. Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any citizens signed up to speak? Then that public hearing is closed. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the meeting minutes for August 22nd.
I'll move for approval with one correction.
You're kidding. I'm sorry. Okay, well,
On page 3, at the very
Yes.
top, board members present. Should be Charles Edmonds instead of Charles Edwards.
is that your motion with my correction?
I second with the associated change requested.
We have a motion and second with that change. Is there any objection? The motion is approved unanimously. We'll go into the committee reports. I'm supposed to talk about the RTC. They do a lot, and the last meeting, a broad range of topics, including the legislative agenda. I would hope that we're working with the RTC for our joint development ideas and to soften up and find out if there's an approach for getting any kind of additional funding at levels involving taxes, sales tax, other revenue forms, but working with the RTC to kind of open up that dialogue. Access is always important, and there were some metrics with regard to access. I just talked to the mayor of Mansfield, and he was very interested in having meetings with Chad to open up that discussion, not just with access, but with microtransit. Let's see what else the RTC talked about that was significant. They're talking a lot about roads. So we're, that's the focus of what they do, and we're trying to move them off the dial a little bit. But those were the major things, I think, that affected what we're trying to do. With that, we'll move into we will not move into commuter rail. We'll move, Chris? I saw you. Do you have a report for your committee? Sure. Would you mind?
Don't mind.
Thanks, sir.
Well, good afternoon. All right, so I do have a report for the board for our Planning, Operation, Marketing Committee. Met on September 19th. Wayne, CEO, Vice President of Business and Partners, provided us the August operations report. The group is performing very well at 92% on-time performance on a fixed route bus and 95% one-time performance on access. Wayne shared with us, the committee, the exciting news that the real-time bus data is getting close to being live in GoPass. He showed us the test application in which we could see the vehicles moving around the routes. In the ridership report, Chad development and highlights that we continue to see ridership recovery quicker than the other Texas transit agents, along with providing the August ridership data and committee packet, which shows continued growth in TexRail zip zone ridership. Chad also shared that we are still around 73% recovered from the pre-pandemic ridership. Melissa talked to us about the August results for TM. We still didn't see the things that me and Michael kind of shared yet, but we're still waiting on those. The advertising campaign and how it is increasing our agency awareness, which leads to increased ridership. She also mentioned that Easy Ride ticket sales revenues was up around $34,000 in August. Deidre gave us a fantastic report dealing with the call dialing and the customer care center decrease, and 67% of customers had no wait time at all. Dietrich introduced the Enjoy team to the committee and shared all great things that they are doing in the field to help the customers use our transit service. We are now up to 163 registered van pools through our program with Enterprise. This is nearly 3 times higher than the same month last year. The committee also discussed 2 information items. Steve Montgomery, Director of Government Relations, presented the draft for our state legislator agenda and will be bringing back an action to the board for the adoption next month, which, with our second item, Chad discussed the flood damage for 4th Street warehouse and its impact our tenants. So we have one action item today, BA 2022-53 on the agenda. The committee has recommended that the board takes action and approve this action item today. That is the complete of my report.
Thank you, Councilman, appreciate it. Well, Charles, I didn't see you. Would you mind giving your report? Are there any questions about that report, by the way? Hearing none, Charles, would you give your report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The report of the Commuter Rail Committee is as follows. The Commuter Rail Committee team continues its stellar safety record with Tex Rail reaching 1,694 as of August 31st. Doesn't sound right to me. Okay, it doesn't say that. Yep. The team touched on ridership and presented a snapshot of the Grapevine Grapefest ridership, which came in at 11,895 passengers during the 4-year festival. At the current rate, Tex Rail is looking to close out fiscal year 22 at 530,000. Commuter Rail Management also provided an update on the long-term parking initiative, whereas we have completed 155 total transactions since inception, with Smithfield Station showing significant potential for additional growth. Finally, we were presented with 2 action items related to the Trinity Railway Express Equipment Maintenance Facility and one related to the Trinity Metro Headquarters Design Build. There are 3 board action items, BA 2022-56, 57, and 60. And before I conclude my report, I had a phone call this morning about our parking situation. Just want to let you know that apparently the app says that we have to put a printed receipt on the windshield, but people are not aware of that, and they sometimes get to the train station and they don't have a printed receipt. So we need to check on that. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions with regard to that committee? Hearing none, we'll go to the Finance Committee. Nick?
Thank you, Jeff. As Chris and Charles mentioned, we had our Finance and Audit Committee meeting on September the 26th. At the meeting, since the meeting, we've determined that actual sales tax receipts for the month of August were up by 9%, and the Grapevine contribution, thank you, Paul, was up by 27%. For the fiscal year 22, these receipts are up approximately 19% over the prior year and approximately 19% over budget, which equates to roughly $15.5 million over plan. The income statement looks pretty good. We're under budget by almost $7 million. The balance sheet reflects consistent, no surprises, I should say consistency with no surprises. Cash flow is still closely monitored, and as of today, it is adequate to support operations as contemplated in the budget. However, with the SAM registration, which is the system for award management, and Fred, you can help me on this one if I misstate this, that allows us to do business with the federal government. And they've gone through some turmoil there. Their registration is still they're converting from one system to another. They're still having some difficulties with that. It impacts us because we're not getting reimbursement the way we'd like it to be, and also it inhibits prohibits us from applying for new grants. However, we think that's going to be fixed pretty quickly. And there are no questions. It's hard for me to tell from the consent agenda because some of these numbers were bouncing around, but I think we've got 5 action items and 1 resolution, and the committee approved all of those. And unless there's any questions, that concludes our report.
Ladies and gentlemen, any questions of finance? Hearing none, do we need to remove any items from the consent agenda? Is there any request to do that from the members of the board? Hearing none, then I'll accept a motion for approval of the consent agenda, and we will take the resolution separately with Fred.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye to approve the consent agenda. Is there any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Fred, do you want to take on the investment policy resolution? Where'd you go, Fred? I don't know. I want you to get up there. Whatever. Are there any questions? I mean, some of you didn't attend the meeting. It's fairly important, and this is something we have to do every year. Are there any questions about this investment resolution? Fred, you're off the hook.
Okay.
I'll accept a motion to approve the adoption of the investment policy resolution. We have approval and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Is there any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. We have 2 information items. Melissa has both. There you are.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess Fred got off the hook and put me on the hook, so here we go. But these are really good. I think these are things that the Board of Directors is going to be pleased to hear. So I just have 2 information items for you today, beginning on page 45. I just wanted to give the Board of Directors an update on our employee-led ridership task force. I know we all are wondering how we're going to get the Harrisons in the world on the bus, right? We've talked about some of our advertising campaigns, but one of the first things that we've done since Rich joined us is put together an employee-led ridership task force. At the time that this was added to the packet, we had only had 2 meetings, but last week we had our 3rd. So we're 3 meetings into our 30-day task force. We have good representation across various departments. You can see the members listed in the write-up. I won't go through all of them, but I do want to give special mention to our committee leadership. So Evan Escher is in our planning department. He is chairing the task force. Sarah Rogers is our vice chair, and she is actually a Tex Rail conductor, so great to have representation from our rail side as well. And Bianca Tillis in our HR department is our group secretary. So everybody's been working really hard. They're really looking at all aspects of our operations, and our end goal is to define ways to increase ridership. And I guess we just wanted to let you all know that this was happening, that we are really looking at how to get those numbers increased in Chad's ridership report each month. And so next month, the chairperson and our vice chair will be bringing back a full presentation. I'd like to do that to this group as opposed to any of the committees, because I feel like ridership is something that all the committees are interested in. And so Evan and Sarah will come back prepared in October to review the outcomes of our 30-day task force. So that's where we're at. It's been a great group. It's really been a lot of fun listening to all of their ideas. Really, really smart folks on our team. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I didn't get a chance, I don't think any of them are down here today, but the whole crew will be here in October, so we can all congratulate them together.
So, Melissa, with the awesomeness of a staff-led task force, is this something that you would, just witnessing the first couple meetings, would suggest for other strategic things that we want to tackle within the system? I mean,
In my opinion, I think it's always good to look at our employees for their ideas. I mean, we all kind of have our niche within the organization, but I think what we share in common is that we're all really passionate about what we do, and we all look at things differently, right? So I think it's been interesting to see those perspectives across various departments in our organization. So yes, I do think there's value in that to other things that we're working on where it makes sense.
awesome.
That's a long answer, but you get the gist.
You said yes.
Yes.
Got it.
Are there any other questions?
Melissa, the new technology and innovation officer for the city was quoted in some news feed I have to my computer. I don't know, I have a lot of news feeds. One of the news feeds as saying that he wanted to really cultivate some ideas on improving ridership, and that he had some ideas toward that. And I think at least we should be in touch with him and see what ideas he has. Apparently, he has a background in this, and he's coordinating with the smart city and innovation officers in multiple cities, a couple dozen cities. So he might have something that we could use.
Okay. I see Chad's over, I see him out of the corner of my eye taking a note, so we can do some outreach on that. Thank you for that suggestion.
Then, if there are no other questions, we'll go to item 2.
Okay, so on page 46 is a write-up on beginning to include zip zone rides in our regional tickets. So we all know that zip zones have been, they've been kind of an evolution, right? So we've really worked hard to improve the customer experience, increase ridership in our zones by including multiple service area expansions. And then early in January of 2021, the board heard that we were going to include zip zone rides in our local tickets. At the time, we did that just to provide a better customer experience, increase ridership, give people one ticket so they're not having to pay their fare twice. What we saw and what it shows on the page is really when that happened, and I think it was probably not the only thing that happened at that time, but one of the key factors, that was, I mean, zip zone ridership has exploded. I mean, it really has since we made that change and really ever since then. And so each modification that we've made in the zones is to continue to increase ridership. And it doesn't say it in the report, but I did look it up this morning, and Chad can correct me if I'm wrong, but year to date in August of this fiscal year, we're up 135% when compared to the full of last fiscal year. So we know that the things that we're doing are working. So we'd like to take that a step further, and as of October 1, we plan to include zip zone fares in our regional tickets. So we're even further broadening the access that regional riders have to the zip zone service. So right now, like we talked about, you can currently ride zip zone with your local 1-day, 7-day, monthly, and annual tickets, not with regional, and that's what we plan to change come October 1. So we want to do this for a couple of reasons, right? Of course, giving people more access, but regional tickets are also a more expensive ticket, and so we want our regional riders to have access with their more expensive ticket to the same things that our local ticket holders have, right? So it's really just making kind of the on-demand services in the whole of the Metroplex a cohesive service, because our partners at DART and DCTA who run on-demand service already allow this. So really, this is us just joining. We're kind of coming to the party, right? So really, it's as easy as that. It doesn't affect our fare allocation at all. So we think this is a really quick, easy step to get more folks using that service. And I'll happily answer any questions.
One quick question. What's the financial implication of that? The zip zone rides cost so much, and we collect so much, and there's a deficit.
Sure.
So what's the financial implication of broadening that base beyond its current base?
Sure, and I don't have an exact number. I can certainly get it for the board if they'd like to see it. What we've discussed amongst our team is that it really kind of evens out in the long run, because where we might be seeing a difference in fare collection from the VIA side of things within the one-way rides revenue that we collect, it's offset, because what we saw when we included the fares in local tickets is we end up selling more local tickets. So it almost ends up being an apples to apples comparison, because when we're not collecting it through VIA, we're collecting it through our own ticket sales. And if you do want the exact numbers, Charles, I can happily get those for you.
Well, why don't we chew on whether that's necessary or not? I'll
Okay.
get back to you.
Sure.
Everybody likes zip zones.
Everybody loves the zip zones.
Chad and I were next to the mayor of Mansfield. And there was method in my madness. Arlington, of course, has no public transportation, but zip zone, and Grand Prairie only has zip zone. And there's a theme going around here that nobody wants a bus. And that's the first thing that the mayor said. And every community is different depending upon density. I was just wondering, And I mentioned at the meeting last Friday, a week ago, that I'm a big fan of Jarrett Walker, and the bus is still the best. Maybe we could start thinking about how to promote a bus. What a novel idea that would be about how effective it is when you pay 4 and 5 times more for your ride than you do for a good, safe, clean, timely, you can provide more services.
Sure.
And I know some communities have tried Zip Zone completely. The cost can be astronomical. It doesn't help congestion. And I'd just like to think a little bit, I don't want any formal report, but perhaps internally we can start talking about how we can promote the bus. It'd be nice to have Nadine come over, chat, talk about, she loves the bus. If she can't sell it, nobody can.
If I can add something very quickly. So I think it was 2 or 3 meetings ago, one of the requests from the board was transit misconceptions. One of those is the bus. And so we're working on that. We're collecting those misconceptions and putting together a presentation, trying to streamline it so it's easier to report out and reply back. So what's the misconception? Buses aren't full. What's the truth? Here's what it is. And so I think we can work in the bus is better type of concept.
Yeah,
on this as well.
when you have the mayor of Grand Prairie at one time, and you have the mayor of Arlington, and then the mayor of Mansfield, all tell you the same thing, and I'm sitting here going, oh, man, we have some work to do. So let's at least think about it, and I think we all know, they do it certainly at DART, how important the bus is to our system. So let's just start thinking about what we can do to get it on the front page of the Star Telegram and the Fort Worth Report, talking about the bus. With that, I'll move into the president's report. All I really wanted to do, 2 things. One, well, that's you, the president, I'm the chair. Okay, why don't you start with the president's report, then I'll do the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That was fun.
Mr. Not President.
I don't want to be anything.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, board members, Trinity Metro staff, and members of the public. Last week was National Rail Safety Week. As you know, safety is our first priority, and we are doing our part to remind customers and motorists to exercise caution around railroad tracks. So on Wednesday of last week, A.J. Arginen, VP and COO of Rail, Anthony Fuller, COO Trinity Railway Express, Melissa Chrisman, VP Marketing, and members of her team and I participated in Meet the Management at Fort Worth Central Station. We greeted customers and reminded them about rail safety. Also last week, I, along with Chairman Jeff Davis, Board Member Paul Schlechter, VP Planning Chad Edwards, VP and COO Rail AJ Arginen, Deputy COO Reed Lanham, and PW McCallum, Executive Director of Grapevine Convention and Visitors Bureau, met with Veronica Vanderpool, FTA Deputy Administrator, and Gail Lissy, FTA Regional Administrator in Grapevine. FTA was interested in learning more about our successes with TexRail. We shared stories about strong ridership, our experience with the Stadler trains, and robust transit-oriented development. We spoke about the extension of TexRail to the medical district and highlighted the need to purchase additional Stadler trains. Deputy Administrator Vanderpool was very impressed by what she saw and said we are doing an exceptional job leading the nation in recovery of riders on commuter rail. Also, this Wednesday marks 100 days on the job as your president and CEO. It is a milestone to be sure. I have spent the last 100 days meeting with Trinity Metro customers and stakeholders. I've met with city and county elected officials, including Mayor Matty and Judge Whitley, nonprofit executives, business leaders, and other transit CEOs. Some of the most memorable moments have been with our talented Trinity Metro team. We recently held 5 town hall meetings at the Herschel R. Payne Transportation Complex, TexRail's Mahaffey Maintenance Facility, and 801 Grove Street. I received lots of great feedback. Employees want more ways to stay connected with each other and our community. So we are bringing back the annual Trinity Metro Holiday Party, employee awards programs, offering Jeans Day Fridays, and looking at a 40th anniversary celebration. And by the way, 40 years will be next year in 2023. Finally, we have a busy month ahead of us. On October 8th, the annual Trinity Metro Bus Rodeo will take place at HRP. Our maintenance team, bus operators, and customer service staff will have an opportunity to compete and showcase their talents. Trinity Metro executive leadership and staff will be on hand throughout the day to cheer on their colleagues. And thank you to several board members present today who also plan to attend. We appreciate your support. A number of us will also participate in the 2022 APTA Transform Conference in Seattle from October 9th through the 12th. And the annual Trinity Metro Bus Stop Cleanup Day will take place throughout the city of Fort Worth on October 22nd. Many have signed up to work. It's not too late if you'd like to join us. Please see Deetra Whitmore for more information. As I'm fond of saying, none of us can do our jobs without all of us. Together, we are bringing back riders, providing safe, efficient, and reliable bus and rail service, and planning for an even brighter future ahead. I am proud of what we are doing here at Trinity Metro. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my remarks.
Thank you so much. If I would ask, I'm not sure who would have this responsibility. Rich's note to the employees in the newsletter was really extraordinary, and I'd like for the members of the board to read what he wrote to the employees. It's very appropriate, touching, and very team building, and I thought it was a really nice touch, Rich. Really well done. And all I'm going to do is ask the board to attend the APTA, or in this case, is there something called Revolution? What is that?
There is, and we actually
What is-
spoke about this. You were somewhere in another country living your best life when we highlighted this last time. But at the end of October, Jeff and I believe, is it AJ? Are you coming on? Oh, okay, nice. Jeff and some member of our leadership team will be going to Miami for the annual Revolution Conference. I think the thing that I'm most excited about is that Revolution is undergoing a rebrand because Revolution is more than rail. So excited to see that rebrand made public. I'll be speaking and moderating a panel. We have just a tremendous lineup of sessions and workshops and social events. So all I know is it's the end of October. I should know more, but October 29th through November 2nd. Yes, so I'm super excited about Trinity Metro's representation and participation in the conference, and look forward to sharing with you all some of the highlights from the conference after we all get back.
Thanks, Charlie. I've attended and been part of that organization, and Revolution is building livable communities through public transit. It's not just about rail, and I can't wait for the rebranding. But it's a tremendous opportunity for members of the board. I know we're all busy. APTA is a big deal, but Revolution is really very intimate. The sessions are extraordinary because they're very timely, and I would encourage you to attend one of either the APTA or the Revolution Conference. You won't be disappointed. The educational process is second to none, both hands-on and kind of a lecture thing, too.
And if you're not able to go physically to the conference in Miami, Revolution will offer multiple virtual or live stream sessions. So, and there's a different.
October 29th.
And then when is the APTA?
I don't know. And once again, I keep talking about communication. Let's continue to talk to our appointing bodies. Let's go to the council members or county folks who appointed us, communicate with them, have a cup of coffee with them regularly, because we're all going to be involved in the next few years in building a better system. So let's keep that line of communication going. With that, I need to adjourn this meeting, and we do have an item to talk about in closed session. Pardon? I'm not going to read it. No, we're just going to, I'm going to adjourn the meeting and go into closed session to talk about BA 2022-61, a Master Development Services Agreement. So with that, this part of the meeting is adjourned, and we'll move into executive session.
AJ?
2022-61. If Chad would like to read the recommendation as amended from the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The recommendation is that the Trinity Metro Board of Directors authorize the president and CEO to negotiate a long-term property ground lease, period. When the long-term property ground lease is negotiated, the final version of the documents will be presented to the board for final approval. This project will be vetted for fair and reasonableness prior to final approval.
I have a question. Let's assume we begin this negotiation. Are we obligated to finish the negotiation, or can we
I
go
think
back?
that will
Pardon?
be what we communicate with them,
Okay.
that it won't be finalized until it's approved by the board.
I wanted to make sure that's part of the understanding.
Yes.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion for that action item. Nick?
Second.
And we have a second from Ben. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Is there any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned. Thank everyone.
Thank you.
Y'all have a great day.